County Council. So, yeah, sure. Starting with Mr. Shimoga. Does the Sunshine Law facilitate the functionality of government?
A very brief but amazing response. It depends on the people. It depends on the people that are elected, whether they're going to be honest about that or not. I think the Sunshine Law is important to have so that you can keep people making from people making backroom deals. But it's only as effective as we want it to be. Thank you.
All right. Again, 90 seconds for the answers on these questions. Ms. Willie, same question. Does the Sunshine Law facilitate the functionality of government?
Yes, it does, because it protects the public and the public's right to know and the public to be informed of what's going on and participate. If you don't know what's going on, then there's no way that your input is going to be meaningful. At the same time, I think the Sunshine Law is sometimes used when it shouldn't be. It's meant to be in place when there is a decision making that affects someone or something. So if you're only advisory and the person you consult with or speak to is just considers it advisory, that is not a decision-making role. So I think a lot of times it's imposed where to boards or commissions, or even at times to the CDP, where it shouldn't be. If you have the power to impact people, it's important that that knowledge be there. It could certainly be recrafted somewhat to be more practical, but it's very important in terms of protecting you all, that there are not abuses, that there are not inside deals, and that government functions for you. Thank you.
Mr. Kim, the same question.
I'll digress a little bit because I promised someone the waste to energy project was a very drawn out thing, very tiresome. Those of us who really believed in it, and I just want you to know your councilman, Pete Hoffman, was one that we pushed forward and supported it. In regards to, he owes me now a cup of coffee or something, right? No, but really I appreciated that support. In regards to this question, the intent of it is to stop decision making, so-called deals in a back room. So naturally, the intent of the law is a very good law. I will say, I wish you could fine-tune it a little bit, but I don't have the answer how, because many times as mayor, you want to call in 2 or 3 council people, or maybe more, to discuss a thing. Let's take the waste to energy. I had to call each one individually, talk to them about what our position was. It would be nice if the law allowed you to call 2 or 3 at once or whatever. No decision making, just for information exchange. But I do agree that the intent is good, but I sure would like to see a review on how we can tweak it a little bit and not take away from the intent of it at all, but just to make it easier where we could talk and exchange ideas without, as Ms. White said, any decision making, because that should not be behind the door.
Thank you, Tom. Mayor Canoy, same question.
It's an interesting question regarding functionality. I know some people would rather a government sometimes or a county council hearing that it be more efficient or less time consuming, but that's the democratic process. Everybody should have a healthy debate. There should be opportunities for meaningful input. But I have absolutely no problems with the Sunshine Law. I think it's important to protect the community and every person's right to see the process of decision making, but there is a sense that sometimes it doesn't work always in the best interest of government efficiency because people don't have an opportunity or are afraid to discuss different issues because they might be in violation of the Sunshine Law. I know the Sunshine Law, we have to really work with our board and commission members because they're citizens giving of their time, and we have to ensure that everybody understands what the Sunshine Law is and adheres to the rules and principles of the Sunshine Law. And the bottom line is, all it is that everybody have an opportunity to see how a decision is made, what facts and information is considered, and that it's an open, transparent process.
Thank you. This is regarding geothermal. As Puna and other geothermal energy plants go forward, what would you do to protect the community health? And there's another part to this that I'm going to rephrase. Would you or have you allotted any funds to even research effects on the community? Ms. Willie.
Okay. Yes, I agree that we need to undertake studies, and we need to do some research on the impact so that those who are in the area and affected are protected. I've testified on this several times. I support geothermal, but responsible geothermal. Certainly, some of the stories that were told to the county council were really disconcerting. There are funds set aside for it. I think that monies should not be taken out of that fund for other causes that are not addressing that problem until we resolve what the impact is and how we need to deal with it to treat people fairly. I think you all would feel the same way if it was geothermal drilling right here. I also just want to mention that yesterday or the day before I testified in terms of a request to limit drilling to not have drilling between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. And what I said is, regardless of what the legal rights are, that should be something that the company is willing to do in order to have good relations with the community and work out issues such as that. What is being responsible, not just what a contract says or what the law says, but treat people fairly.
Thank you. Mr. Shimon, same question.
I am in favor of geothermal. I know that we've had, by the way, I need to introduce our state representative, Cindy Evans. I know Malama was introduced and we neglected to recognize that Cindy's here with us tonight. Thank you, Cindy. PGV has been involved over 25 years. I don't know, quite frankly, just how much research you need to do. I think you still got to continually do research, but I think you do all of the above. You continually move forward with developing more geothermal energy so that we can become energy self-sufficient on this island. Whether people are moved or not, I know that it will be a county council's responsibility working with the administration. But I think, again, we're at a place where we've had that. I can remember when I came back to the island in 1984. I think it's when the eruption took place is when I showed up. And it hasn't stopped since, you know. So we definitely have a resource there that we might as well take advantage of and use. But again, it's doing all of the above. Responsible research on safety hazards. If we got to move people, we move quickly out of the danger zones. But we continually move in developing geothermal. Thank you.
Mayor Ganoi, same question.
You know, the goal of geothermal, of course, is to promote renewable energy and remove our dependence on fossil fuels. We currently produce 38 megawatts of geothermal. Now, what's happened is a lot of fear has been generated with people saying we're going to have 1,000 megawatts of geothermal and we're going to, you know, have geothermal drilling around the island, and that's just not true. Our total peak energy load on this island is 180 megawatts. So for regards to geothermal and a health study, we got funds from research and development and dedicated to bring in, we've got Peter Adler, a world-renowned neutral third party, who's going to do what's called joint fact-finding to find the highest level of consensus, utilizing existing information, data, and science. When we went and talked to the Leilani Community Association, the people who live around Puna Geothermal Ventures plant. They just wanted decision making, not based on fear or what people were saying, but that was based on good information, good science, documented evidence. And that's what we're in the process of doing. Bringing in a third party and beginning the process to look objectively, factually, at what exactly is the potential adverse impact of geothermal. You know, when people say we're for geothermal, we just want it done right. I don't think anybody's for geothermal wanting it done wrong. We all want it done right to protect our children, our families, our communities. It's been around for 20 years. We have to make sure that going forward, we protect the health and safety of our community and our residents.
Thank you. Mr. Kim, same question.
This issue is so important to all of you. And it's not just an element of geothermal, it's what the state government and the county government is failing to do for your protection. When the governor's office, and supported by the mayor's office, went to the Department of Health Environmental Commission to request exemption of exploratory geothermal drilling anywhere on the island of Hawaii or state of Hawaii, coupled with Act 97 eliminating geothermal permits, necessity or zoning, meaning anywhere. The governor did me an extreme privilege of calling me because he heard I wasn't happy with what's going on. And this is what I told the governor. Governor, all I'm asking you to do is take the time to call California or call Iceland and introduce to them what we were doing here on this island. And I think you'll be very disappointed and very shocked at some of the misinformation given to you. All I'm asking in regards to what is happening is that we all step back. We all as government have a responsibility for your safety. You expect that of us. I'm asking you to read the EPA report of our failures. Read it. It's there for you to open and read. It's a 2000 final report. Just read it and you're going to see the state government and the county government and PGV failure to do our job.
All right, this question is to both the mayoral candidates and county council candidates. We'll start with Mr. Kim. Two-part question, basic on economics. How would you generate revenues for the county to provide needed services? And the second part, what would you do to strengthen our local economy?
And I was listening to the presidential debate, and obviously we're all interested in what's going on. And this is a very different time. I think you know that our economy is global. Just a few years back, we didn't even use that term to describe our economy as far as ups and downs. And it is global in nature, so whatever happens in Greece and China, affects us. In regards to what we would do, I always felt that the most important thing government can do in regards to the economy and stimulating the economy, make sure that you don't do things that gets in the way of business. And while we were running a private business, you get very irritated sometimes at the rules and regulation of state and county in regards to things that you must do that adds to the cost but does not add to any of your profit element. Secondly, I think it is very important that government work with the private business sector to see collaboratively what kind of things both can do to increase the economy here or stimulate the economy. But the basic responsibility, I think, of county government is to make this an attractive place for business to want to come here. And that means your infrastructure, that means your police, that means your fire. And I think all studies recently have shown of business, because of a new breed of people out there, make this an attractive place for the families, and you will attract business to come here.
Thank you, Mayor Kanoy. Same question.
Well, we have to stimulate our economy. It's about job creation and economic growth. And we have to focus on our largest employment sectors in the county of Hawaii. The largest, of course, is the hospitality industry. And we knew during a challenging economic environment that we had to increase airlift. Because before we get people working in our hotels, in our restaurants, in our small businesses, we got to get them here first. And so we focused a lot of our effort in the hospitality industry on airlift. We now have daily flights to Hilo, Continental United. In the last 4 years, we added direct flights directly into Kona from Portland, Seattle, San Jose, and Oakland. Now we're working with Hawaiian Airlines. Of course, we just had a meeting with them a couple weeks ago to get a direct flight from Haneda to Kona, because Kona is the only international destination besides Honolulu in the state of Hawaii, and that's an incredible asset. Year over year, tourism is up, and arrivals 8%. Expenditures are up 16.8%. $1 billion is now in the economy. In the agricultural sector, we now have more jobs in our agricultural industry than since 1994. A new report just came out the other day where unemployment is down to 8.2%. It was at 10.2% August of last year. So we're starting to see an economic trend moving in construction. We're starting to see public works projects moving forward. Palama Nui is starting our community college. So what county can do is to facilitate economic investment, job creation, and focus on the largest employers of our island.
Thank you. Mr. Shimoka, same question, please.
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Yes. How would you generate revenues for the county to provide needed services, and what would you do to strengthen our local economy?
Well, I agree with both the former mayor and the current mayor that we have to be hospitable to development. Again, tourism has always been, as far as I can remember, our GNP in Hawaii. I'm presently in a program. I live on Hawaiian Homes in Waimea, and I'm presently working with several other families in our Hawaiian community up there in Pu'ukapu to develop greenhouses. We've just got a grant, and one of the designs of the grant is that we become self-sufficient in that sense of growing our own food. Not only, I learned a great definition of self-reliant is that not only you feed yourself, but you make enough to feed others. And I would encourage innovation, ideas. We live in a great place. There's a great sense of place here. And I would want to stimulate ideas, people that would come up with creative jobs. I also would support small business. See that going again. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Willie, same question.
Okay. My focus would, sort of long-term and short-term, would be to increase educational opportunities. From everything from mentoring, which your community probably does the best in this district, so that we share our knowledge with the kids and with each other. We're also the only district that really doesn't have a high school. I'd like to see all of the schools get together, figure out what would work, maybe a 10th to 12th grade, vocational opportunities, high tech, and work together, partner, private, public, all together, federal funds. There's a lot of funding, there's a lot of federal funds we're missing out on, and that would be another area. For example, just because we don't have a county level historic commission, we're losing out on Department of Interior funds. At least a few years ago it was over $1 million. So ours is the one county that's not doing well. A lot of ways we could bring in more money, both on a grant level and a federal level. I also would like to streamline the permitting process. That doesn't mean circumvent cultural and environmental concerns, but I'd like to see it done, and I'm really good at simplifying complex laws and make it so it's more of a checklist, that you have the same checklist that the people behind the desk have. For example,
Time. I apologize.
Okay.
However, you get to start this next question, which is directed at our county council candidates. She's going to come after me after this, and then I'm in trouble.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Willie, what specific education, experience, and skill set do you have to fulfill your obligation to those you represent?
Okay. Well, my background is in cultural anthropology and education. I have a master's in education and counseling and a law degree. So I have a lot of experience drafting laws and revising laws. And what I said before in terms of simplifying, that's I've worked on very complex areas of laws out when I lived in Maine for the Department of Agriculture. I would also say that I've worked in both the judiciary as the clerk, Circuit Court of Appeals, District of Columbia, and also in the executive branch. So I know how the system works, how it should work, and I also have been involved with county level issues here for 6 to 8 years, testified probably 50, 100 times, different things. So I bring a lot of knowledge and ability, so I feel I can be effective from day one. I've worked with the department heads, I've worked with, say, and the mayor's efforts on the transit accommodation tax, another way we can get in more money and make sure that we are bringing those funds in. I would also like to see a lot more. I've written a blog for the past few years trying to educate people on issues and simplify it for folks. So I feel that I come with a lot of qualifications and I could start in from day one in partnership with you all and be effective.
Thank you. Mr. Shimoga, same question.
Yeah, my education is in secondary education. I studied to become a teacher until one day my master teacher or mentor came in, and I was in an awkward position with a student because he showed me a sign that I didn't particularly care for, and so it was a sign for me that I wasn't called to teach high school. I have a minor in psychology. Most of my education has been in conflict resolution as a pastor for 28 years. I enjoy bringing people from opposing views and finding a compromise so that we can all agree. I think one of the things that you guys have heard repeatedly tonight is collaboration, working together with private, public sectors, working together with all kinds of agencies, working together with people. That's the strength that I bring. That's one of my passions, is to bring people together to find a common solution that will be good for the whole community. Mahalo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Our final two questions are for our mayoral candidates. How is the planning department working with the action committees? And what review was granted to the action committee for the 70-unit PUD Ho'ole Ainalea subdivision before granting the permit? Mr. Kanoy.
Oh, that was a long question.
Yeah, I can repeat it.
Yeah, no. The planning department has to make sure that we are working very closely with all of our action committees. I know there's been some frustration and been some challenges, and we have to work and improve our communications at the planning department level and with all of our action committees. Again, island-wide, they're all engaged, they're all important, and all of them speak and represent their community. With regards to the Ainalea, they have other challenges on that project right now with the LUC, the Land Use Commission, that did not grant them an extension. They took it to court, but the building permit that was issued by the planning department was for the projects, but there's a building permit, but they still have to put in roads, they still have to put in sewers. So that's our requirement, that the Ainalea project fulfill all of its commitments and obligations. But that project itself is being held up at the state level because the state had granted the entitlements to Ainalea based on them meeting an aggressive timeline. And the project itself has not met the timelines. They didn't get an extension. The LUC rescinded the entitlements to that project, and that is currently in litigation.
Time. Thank you. Mr. Kim, the same question.
Can I ask you to repeat it, please?
Yes. All right. How is the planning development working with the action committees? What review was granted to the action committee for the 70-unit PUD Ho'ole Ainalea subdivision before granting the permit?
Working backwards on the Ainalea project, it came about some time ago. We've always had some problems with it. A lot of questions needed to be answered, and they know that we did not support it until these questions were answered. And I'll leave it at that because those questions still need to be answered in regards to this big, big project for South Coahoma. In regards to the first part, it is not just a planning department, and again, I'm referring back to our MC in regards to what this is all about. This calls for a total change in thinking of government. The whole aspect was to get government away from the old mentality of top-down and a few dictate for the mass. And this was a process in regards to government work with people, and people work with government. And this would take staff training, not just the planning department, but especially the planning department, the whole administration. This will take training because this is a whole paradigm shift in how government will work with the people.
All right. Our final question is also for the mayoral candidates.
I didn't answer.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That was just for the mayor. I apologize. This one again for the mayoral candidates. We'll start with Mr. Kim. The mayor is the head of the county's administration. Describe your management style and role in managing our county.
I wanted to answer this question in regards to the background. I think my style of management is well known by now. It is. I'm not a confrontational person, and I don't like that. I think if you look at the 8 years of being your mayor, I don't think you're going to find one newspaper headline of me fighting with Pete Hoffman or any council member, regardless of the disagreement. Every job I've had with the county has been of management. The first job was the administrator of the Law Enforcement System Administration. I'm very proud of the work done there. And the whole job there was to identify problems with the whole system in the community and resolve it and come up with innovative ideas. The second, as you know, was in civil defense for 24 years. And when I was asked to take that job, I told the mayor, when he asked me, what is your goal? And as arrogant as this may sound, I told him, we're going to make Hawaii County Civil Defense the best in the United States of America. And very shortly after that, I told the mayor I changed. Shortly, I mean 3-4 years later, we're going to make this the best civil defense system in the world. Not that we got there, but I think we achieve a lot of those things. The management style of all of it, including the mayor's office, is the most important is to recognize, identify the problems, and to work with all involved in the solution of those problems. And that is what I've done for you for 40 years.
Time. Mr. Kanoy, same question.
Well, management for 2,500 employees, now about 2,300 plus, for 4,028 square mile island with 18 departments that covers all of public health safety. My management style is very simply find really good people and let them do their jobs. Hold them accountable, but let them do their jobs and ensure that things get done. I tell all of my administration, when people ask you for help, your answer is can, not no can. Easy to say no can. Your answer is can, and your job is figure out how can. Of course there's obstacles, barriers, and hurdles, but we've got to figure ways around, through, and over. And I hold everybody accountable that projects get done. And people say, well, how did you select them? I didn't know Bob Fitzgerald before, Warren Lee at Public Works. I just asked people who was the most credible out there in the community. And I hired them by the 3 E's and the 3 C's. People said, what is the 3 E's? Well, every department head has to have the education, the experience, and the expertise to lead. One single department is any department, Parks and Rec, Public Works, $15 million budgets, hundreds of employees. It's one of the largest corporations on the island. And the 3 C's, every department head is from this island, committed. You have to be committed. You have to be compassionate and care, and you have to be courageous. And that's our administration and management style.
Time. All right. Well, not all the questions could be answered and addressed in the interest of time this evening. You are welcome to hang out with the candidates after they finish their closing statements here and ask them any additional questions you may have. At this time, we would like to move towards closing statements, and we'll start in reverse order with Ms. Willie.
I hope you will support me in becoming your next county councilor, and not just look to me to help you and to serve you, but I want to look at this as a partnership. I feel I can handle many projects at the same time. I have a hard time when people say, what are your priorities? Because if we work together, I feel we can get a great deal done. I've spent a lot of time in your community with your senior clubs, with the CDP, and the same in North Kohala. So I got a lot in my head, and I'm ready to look at what we can do together. I also look forward to collaborating and working together with whoever is the mayor. And I would expect to come meet with them week one, and what are we going to do together? And there's no time to fuss. I would hope there's not a mayoral candidate that becomes the chair of the county council and sort of go back and forth. So I expect you're going to see a great deal more collaboration and working together, not just with the mayor, but also on the state and federal level. I would also like what Harry Kim said in terms of being a model. I really would like to look at how can we become a model, such as an emergency preparedness. You all have put together, your community, whether you're aware of it or not, has I think, a really impressive emergency disaster plan. I mean, I want to bring it up to Waimea and North Kohala. How can we be a model? I also would like us to think of ourselves as part of the Pacific family and not just a state. We need, and I think this has been done by the mayors, I think we need to continue that and work on our economy as building an ohana in this district, on this island, and the Pacific, and across the globe. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Shimoka.
You know, our state motto is Ua Mau Ke O Kaina I Kupono. I don't think that's a coincidence that that's our state motto. Growing up in Hawaii all my life, that's a part of my cultural DNA. I really believe in doing things right. I think the land, you guys can agree, it's in the CDP. We believe that we live in the most privileged place in the world. About a year ago, I asked my friend Glenn Hashimoto, he's the president at Suisun, and because he was asking me to bring in a program that would teach this one principle, this one human trait. And this is what he told me. He said, Sonny, when we look for employees now, the first thing that we look for is character. We're not concerned as much with skills. We can teach them the skills, but we're looking for people of good character. I think it's one of the things that Mayor Kinoi mentioned that kind of triggered in me that that's what I'll bring. I'll bring proven character. I know with in some parts of the community, because I've been supported by so many unions, that people think that I'm bought. One of the things about being supported by a lot of the unions is that a lot of them are family members. And so when they go and call me to go and lobby or candidate before them, that's one of the things. So, you know, I'll bring character to the county council. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Kim.
First of all, everyone, thank you for being here. One of the most often asked questions is, why are you running again, Harry? I could give you all kind of reasons in regards to why I thought it was important, but none of it was important enough to come back from a beautiful retirement and watching a family of a granddaughter. What was happening, and I told the governor this, and the administration knows this, it was what was happening on the state and county level. That's something we fought for. The CDP was developed under our administration for the process of community involvement in your government and therefore your future. When I saw what was happening in regards to the state and county government, in regards to the CDP of non-embracement, in regards to the state, and I told the governor this, Act 55, and if you look at the brochure identified a long time ago, Act 97, was such bad things for the island's people and the environment. And I told Governor Abercrombie straight, how could you have done this to the people of Hawaii Island? And I said strong in that. Matter of fact, he knows I said very strongly, boy, I'm going to do everything I can to have you repeal those 2 acts. And that's how strongly I felt about they were jeopardizing and taking away the element of most important of you determining your government and your home and your future, that of home rule. And that is what made me come back. I consider that to be extremely important. You know, issues will come and issues will go. And you will always have disagreement with the administration. I don't care who is there. But when laws are changed to take away your rights and responsibility and input for your government, you know, it's time to stop it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kanoy.
I want to thank everyone for the honor and privilege of serving as mayor of Hawaii Island. I want to thank my wife, Takako, my partner of 22 years, for allowing me to serve our community. Raising our 3 children on this beautiful Hawaii Island is a very simple belief. If we have healthy, strong families, if our children grow up with hope and opportunity and a sense that they can dream and dream big, and that if they work hard, that the harder they work, the better they do, that the more they put in, the more they get out, that there's a wonderful future for all of them. And with healthy children and strong families, we'll have a healthy Hawaii Island. That's always been our goal. We've worked really hard at bringing government to the people. I believe we're the first administration that's come to Waikoloa with our entire cabinet every single year. That was never done before. The first mayor that worked in West Hawaii every single week for 4 years. It takes a lot of time, but there's a commitment that we have a healthy, strong community built on respect, compassion, trust, and aloha. We're very excited about the future. We've reduced the size and cost of government to put our island and our government, our administration on strong footing. We have a strong bond rating. We have now an optimism. We have economic opportunities. Our growth of our University of Hawaii at Hilo is becoming a center of academic excellence in the Pacific. Renewable energy, we lead the state. We're at now 49% thus far this year of renewable energy, which allows us to move towards sustainability. And that as long as we continue to work respectfully with every level of government, federal, we brought in $115 million, $115 million just through the American Recovery Reinvestment Act here on the island of Hawaii. We work really well with all of our state legislators, and we work with our community. And tomorrow will be a great day. Thank you for the opportunity, because I truly believe that together we can, together we did, and together we will again. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Let's have a round of applause for all of our candidates, Mayor and District 9. And let's have a big round of applause for Island Lava Java for supplying a lovely scrumptious food. Thank you so much. Check them out here or in Kona. And how about a big round of applause for yourselves? Thank you all for coming out on Friday night. You're not elected yet, sir. And of course, I'd like to introduce Lisa Yee for some closing remarks.
Candidates, there's 4 tables on the side, so I think everybody has a station like we did the last time. And go to your station, and this is the time when I get through with the announcements. You'll be able to go up. I'm so sorry we didn't have enough time for all the questions that came in. You may go up to your candidate and talk story with them. Finish up the food. There'll be time for, now is the time to do that. Catch up with people in the community, and I'm here to thank everyone that put this together. It takes a lot of people, even the audience, like you guys, to come out on a Friday night when you'd rather be home to make an event like this happen. So anyway, I want to thank Noah Lincoln and Lava 105 and awesome, dude! Kept us on time, as you can see back there. And of course our candidates, Mayor Billy Kanoy, former Mayor Harry Kim, Margaret Willie and Sunny Shimoka. They're troopers. They come here. And then we have a whole team of people that put this together, including our vice principal here, Ruth Smith, Mike Fisher, who's on the action committee for the South Koala CDP. So many people. We have Kathy Frazier here from the WVA admin. Roger Bursig worked on this, and he's our new general manager. Good guy. You guys go talk to him. Pete Hoffman is here, our county council person right now. Cindy Evans, Malama Solomon was here. Sherry Davis, back there, WCDC. They have been spearheading the skate park for years, and now they're skating right along now. Bill Simmons, I'm sorry, that's Bill's last name. Bill Simmons Soma. He's been back there with Cindy Kester as well. Community Emergency Response Team. If something goes down, I just read Roger's draft from WVA. We have a plan here going. We took the initiative. A lot of the organizations in Waikoloa has a plan, so you'll be able to see a more simplified plan coming out on all 4 emergencies here. Hurricane because of the hotels, tsunamis, earthquakes, fires, etc. Okay? Betty Green from Flower, Chris Dane Goggin, who's on our Talk Story team back there. Sue McCord came and made the signs, and she's from the Lions Club. Alan Honey came with his Boy Scout, Kekani Palos. So lots of organizations were represented here, and we're working together to make this event happen. And guess what? We need your help. So 2 ways. The South Koala CDP needs more people on their committee, and it's an action committee to work with the county to implement our plan, including the Waikoloa Community Development Plan. So see myself or Mike, where are you, Mike? Mike Fisher, raise your hand. No, that's Mike Price. Oh, and thank you, Mike Price. He picked up the fruit from Lava Java. He's with the South Koala Traffic and Safety Council. If you guys want to work on traffic issues, talk to Mike, join up with him. All right, I think I got mostly everybody. And the other thing is, if you want to help with the events that the Talk Stories here, come see myself or Ruth, and we need specific help, not your whole life, but real specific things like write a PSA, send something into the paper, something like that. So please come and see us. And vote November 6th! Vote November